Entah you kena buka to the maximum right? Okay, okay, right. Any input, any response that you want to mention about what you have seen? Tak ada input, tak ada apa-apa. Nothing ke?
Sekejap, saya tengah cari notes tadi.
Oh, bukan notes, the
Soalan
video tu.
sekejap. Ya, tengah cari notes saya sekejap.
Oh, you put up some notes. Okay, good, very good. Jadi hopefully kita cover the area. Kita ada roughly about apa slide ni. I think we go through jugalah yang I cover 164 to 200 to I think about 30 slides, yeah, roughly about 30 slides. We try to cover it today. So shall we start? You can stop me at any time to ask of any, any things that you want to clarify. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La yadurru ma ismihi syai'un fil ardi wa fis samai. Bismillahil alim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Okay, we are going into item number or topic number 7. Yeah, principle of Islamic jurisprudence, which is under Islamic terminology is called usul al-fiqh. Usul is the roots. Usul is the foundation. Fiqh is the in terms of jurisprudence, theory of law. So in Islam, theory of law means how the law is to be implemented, which is Sharia. So the source of Sharia, the source of Islamic law, that is what we call usul al-fiqh. Now, this, I think you have seen the video. This is the area that we are going to cover, right? The meaning of usul al-fiqh, the primary source, the secondary source, and the various interpretation that has been done or has been accepted as a method for us to finalize what they call it, a decision in terms of what is right, what is wrong, who is to be punished, who is not to be punished, and so on. Right? Also, istihad, those are considered as the second category. The first category that we want to look at is the Al-Quran and Sunnah and Hadith. So, okay, principle of Islamic religion. So usul al-fiqh is actually the foundation of the religion. What do you mean by religion? Religion is a way of life. Every religion, is you say Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, all these type of religions is a way of life. Yeah, religion is just a regulation of the member who profess that particular religion into how to live. Yeah. So principle of Islamic religion is about how to regulate the Islamic believers, the people who believe in Islam, to conduct their life, and with that, how to get to know their God, because God is saying that I am great, I am the one that you have to subdue or be subjected to. You have to be humble to me. And he has already given so many prophets. There are like hundreds of thousands of prophets given by Allah to us. in order to guide us. Yeah? And the last prophet for people who believe in Islam, we believe in that Rasulullah would be Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the one that is last. Yeah, and he is giving the last guidance. It is meant for the whole universe. Yeah, the whole entire universe. If you have aliens coming in, the same laws applies. Yeah? And how to live. Yeah? That is the religion. So the religion comes from the principle, yeah? The principle of the religion itself. So the principle of Islamic religion, the framework where we have all these rules, yeah, behavior that we have to maintain is based on the framework.
Sir,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I believe there are some people that wants to get in this
Oh,
call.
oh.
Yeah.
Sekejap, eh. Right. Okay. Hi guys. Sorry what that just now. Itulah susah nak kena tunggu tunggu buka dia, it does not go automatic. Alright. So as I already mentioned, Islam is a way of life. You know, a religion. Religion is a way of life. For Muslim to behave and to submit themselves to God, which is Allah. Now, in understanding the religion, we have to look at the principle. Yeah? Here we have the principle of Islamic religion, which is the law itself. So that is usul al-fiqh. We have to know the where does this law come from that we apply. How do we behave based on certain rules, and where does this rule comes? This is where we have to look at. We are looking at Al-Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, Qiyas, those are actually just outright lah before I lost you. Al-Quran and Sunnah is the only source of Islamic law. Okay, to make it clear. So no kind of what they call it, any words that being applied today that you can say, oh, that is law. That is just interpretation of the law. The law is the law. The law is Al-Quran and Sunnah. Even Sunnah itself, there are situations whereby category of hadith or category of Sunnah, whether it is accepted as real or not, that is another issue that has to be resolved. But as far as the main sources of Islamic law, or how do Muslim behave, is coming from Al-Quran and Sunnah and nothing else. How can you have the fuqaha, the Islamic jurists, the fuqaha, those people who knows the Islamic scholars, the ulama, or who are these people? They are just people who knows about the Sunnah and Quran better than somebody else, better than anybody else. So we appoint them as to give us some kind of indication or direction to how we need to behave, okay, how Muslim have to behave. But their decision must be in line with Al-Quran and Hadith. Yeah. So any sunnah that goes against Al-Quran will be rejected. It's just like Al-Quran is our Dusturina. Dusturina means our constitution. For Muslim, if you ask Muslim what would be your constitution, it is not the federal constitution. Our constitution is actually Al-Quran, right? So no matter where you are in this world, as a Muslim, your constitution will be Al-Quran. And any sunnah or any hadith that comes against Al-Quran will be automatically rejected, to that extent. Even the act of Rasulullah that goes against the principle of Al-Quran would have to be rejected, right? This is just to give you some some kind of statement in order for you to not to be dissuade ataupun confused. Ijma, qiyas, everything else comes after the death of Rasulullah. Okay? When Rasulullah died, all these Muslim were in limbo. They have no they have nothing to guide them other than Al Quran and the Sunnah. And that is where we have disunity that is happening throughout the Muslim society, because everyone else tries to interpret in their own way of how they understand the Sunnah and its relationship with Al Quran. Okay, so we have different ruling, we have those are considered as wajib. So this wording as wajib, mushab, mubah, makruh, haram, it was mentioned by Rasulullah. Yeah, so some words that is or some ruling or practice activities is considered as something that we have to follow, and it is being mentioned by Rasulullah when he was alive. But certain ijma, qiyas are those things that happens after Rasulullah. Okay, so we have division between haram and halal. Things like even halal itself have certain categories: obligatory, recommended, dislike, permitted. There are certain things like makan bawang, makan ikan masin, makan makan apa, petai, macam there's one instant where what do you call it, Khalid Al-Walid. So he was eating duck, the creatures that crawls on the desert, right? So he offered it to Rasulullah, but Rasulullah did not like it. But he didn't take it. Yeah, he didn't took the duck, but he shows his disliking of that. So based on things of halal itself, doesn't mean that halal is just one category. Halal comprises of four types of category. So just be aware of that. In the video, I already mentioned the usul al-fiqh, which is the principle of Islamic jurisprudence. There are two. One is from the Sharia, which is the divine law, and the second would be our human scholarly interpretations. And because there is no Rasulullah to verify certain things, that is of dispute, so definitely we have to develop methods or some formula, in order for us to find a solution to our problems that we have in our society today. So this is actually where the blue Islamic jurisprudence, the blue wording, the blue area there, understanding of science of Sharia. Sharia is Islamic law, you know. Uh, some would say Sharia is the Islamic law 100% from Islam, and some would I interpret Sharia as being anything that submit that impose people to submit to the will of God, which is asking or seeking justice. Justice is what being promoted in Islam. So any law that promotes justice is considered as Sharia. That is my interpretation, but obviously there are others who likes to interpret, saying that there must be some Sharia as compared to we who learn what they call it, civil law. Uh, so to me, civil law, as long as it's promoting justice, is considered as Sharia. The problem started with this the Quranic punya statement. Those who believe in Allah obey the messenger, and those in authority. So number one, no problem. Allah means a Quran, words of Allah. that is being passed to Jibril and Jibril passed to Rasulullah, those are considered as Al-Quran. And messengers, obey the messengers in terms of Sunnah, in terms of Hadith. What is Sunnah and Hadith? Hadith is considered as words, you know. He has uttered something that is considered as Hadith. But Sunnah is comprising of his action, you know, and also his words. So Sunnah is bigger than Hadith. So if you put up a circle, the bigger circle is Sunnah, and the smaller circle that is within the bigger circle is considered as Hadith. No issue on that. And number one and number two. The problem starts with number three, where the authority, who is the authority? So according to Shia, the authority comes to the descendants of Rasulullah, supposed to be the descendant of Rasulullah. And to the Sunnis, they say that it is based on those people appointed by the society. Yeah? So we have Abu Bakar, Omar, Osman. You know, those are considered as under Sunni is valid, but when it comes to Shia, they don't accept Abu Bakar, Omar, Osman. They just accept only the family members of Rasulullah as the authority in order to interpret the the Al-Quran and Sunnah. Okay, um, the the Sikhism that we have, the differences that we have in our religions. So many variances of mazhab. If you look at, if you find out Quranic statement with regards to mazhab, there is only one. There is no mazhab. Yeah, supposedly there is no mazhab because mazhab means interpretation. So we have Shafi'i, Hanbali, Maliki, Hanafi. So these are the main four groups for Sunni that is interpreting the Sunnah and Al-Quran. So how they interpret becomes initially as their own, and then towards their students, and then it becomes to the society that believe in them. So it becomes nation later on. There are nations, like for example, for us in Malaysia, we follow Sunnah wal Jama'ah, especially Shafi'i. So Shafi'i school. So any laws that we create, actually the sources comes from Shari'i interpretation of Sunnah and Quran. You know, that is the uh, line of authority. Uh, but what I'm trying to here to state for those non-Muslim uh, division of yeah,
Sorry to
yeah.
disturb you, but one of my classmates is waiting to be
Oh,
admitted. Okay.
okay, right, right. So the problem that non-Muslim is looking into Islam, since how come you go to war in Middle East, you kill your fellow Muslim? It happens in other religions also. Yeah, in Christianity, in Judaism, you know, in quite a number of other religions, because it is bound to have followers that is different from what do you call it, teaching of others. So this is that is what happening in Islam, where Sunni killing Shia, Shia killing Sunni, and then within the what do you call it, the world of Shia itself, there are differences. They don't see eye to eye. Within the Sunni itself, we don't see eye to eye because of the sect or the schools that we follow. Sadly to say that to me mazhab has to be abolished because so many differences as long as interpretation is concerned. uh, but that is just my thinking. Now the you can see the differences in terms of the makeup of the society. especially in the Middle East. You have 90% of Shia and 95% of Sunni. You obviously this is something that is not to be what you call it, surprised of, that people these countries are against each other, right? Because of the principle of understanding that they have over their schools. You know, the Shia understand differently from the Sunni. Obviously, they don't see eye to eye, and then it end up towards killing one another. It is justified to kill the other person just because that person is a non-believer. You know, even in Malaysia, we have the situation of Muhammad bin Daud. You know, it started with the past. Even in Malaysia, we are the schools of Shafi'i, but still within Malaysia there are quarters that think that other people who believe in the same school are not Muslim. Hopefully, it does. Luckily, yeah, not hopefully. Luckily, it does not translate into killing one another. Otherwise, we would have civil war between UMNO and past members. Uh, I was there during the election time. You know, I was helping pass, and but you can see the animosity, the anger towards one another. It leads up to the extent that we have the solat Jumaat dua kali in Kelantan, Terengganu back then. That relates to the case of Muhammad bin Daud, where past member says that UMNO elected or appointed what do you call it, imams are apostate, yeah, they are not Muslim. So if you are not Muslim, then if you are the imam, obviously the semayang is not sah, it's not valid. So with that argument that they have made, they create another, or they have another session of semayang Jumaat. You know, Jumaat is compulsory. What do you call it? Salat that is considered as compulsory. So, so this mazhab created so many differences in our society. If you go into India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, you know, Middle East, yeah, Afghanistan, some countries in Africa, the differences goes to the extent that they don't like each other, even though they believe in the same God. But they have cultures that is linked to the historical or to the schools that they believe in. So
Sir,
yes, somebody want.
the classmate is waiting for you to accept her to the class.
Okay, sorry. I'm waiting. Macam mana? Apa? Any questions while we are waiting for them to ni? I tak nampak, I duk tengok slide tu lah. Yeah,
On that,
Iman.
yeah, I think I want to share a thought as well.
Yeah.
So I guess like the conflict is actually in like other sects. It's not really a controversial issue, but however, the most controversial one, I guess, it's regarding Shia, because the Asal Usul itself is basically the history, how it came to life. The Shia sects pun, it's basically a very controversial one. Like people say, like it's during the time of Khalifah Ali, that there was a apa pertelagahan Ali and that apa Usmania ni tribe Usmania ke Usmania something yang nak naik jadi khalifah juga. So during that time the Shia was supporting Ali, but many scholars say that Shia muncul pun was just because apa ends to define the means. There's no they're not really like according to the beliefs ke apa yang dia buat tu sebenarnya just because to gain power. Itu one thing lah yang I think the main difference between other sects and Shia was that, and then the main key point I guess that to avoid all these problems is also moderation, I guess. It should be practiced in extremes, like Sunnis shouldn't be in extremes, Shia shouldn't be extremes, Wahhabis shouldn't be in extremes, and so on and so forth. I guess that's my 2 cents.
I don't like to go to Salat Jumaat where I am exposed to a statement that towards the end of the khutbah, and then the statement is laknatillah Shia, you know. Why do you have to do that? You know, if you respect others and if you believe that that person is believing in one God, you know, and believe in Rasulallah, and why after that you can say that that person is not Islam, they are not Muslim, because Muslim is asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna muhammadar rasulullah. That's it. That's it. There is no other things that relates to that. As long as a person declare that there is one God and Rasulullah is his messenger, that's it. And then why you have to include a statement in the kutubah in trying to belittle others? Why you are not sure of your faith? You know, if you believe in Shafi'i, Hanbali, or Maliki, or whatever, you know, then just trust in your source of schools that you believe in. You don't belittle others. The fact that we try to belittle others, that will not stop. If you go into history, Ali was what they call it, a curse in Qutbah. You know, go into history and find out what is happening to our religion after the death of Rasulullah. The moment before the week when he was about to die, what happened? You know, look at the incidents that happened within that week itself when he was sick. I want all of you, because we are legal thinkers, we cannot accept something that is being bestowed or being forced down our throat. We have to be able to look at things in a proper perspective. What do you mean by proper perspective? Look at the facts. We legal thinkers, we look at the facts. And how do you look at the facts? We look at the history. What happened to our religion? It is not smooth sailing, guys. It is not smooth sailing. If you do your research, then you will be surprised of the things that happens. What happened to the descendants? All the descendants of Rasulullah was killed. They or murdered in so many things happens to them. So what I'm trying to make a statement here for all of you is to be able to open up your mind and to be able to look at things in its perspective. So don't be judgmental, don't be sided, because we legal thinkers cannot be siding just because we believe in that. We have to be very what they call it, open-minded. We have to be liberal in terms of trying to find the truth. That is the weaknesses that we have to the Muslim scholars. They are always based on what they think that is right, and that causes so many problems. Okay, so it leads up people stating and then killing one another. So who is suffering? Children, women, elderly people. They who enters into argument, into fighting, into war or battle, they don't give a damn about all these people. That is why in Islam, when if you have Rasulullah here today and ask him, which mazhab are you? Excuse me, what religion are you're teaching? You know, I did not promote any mazhab. So why you have to have mazhab? I think I believe in Rasulullah. I don't believe in mazhab. So that's the reason why obviously Rasulullah did not promote any mazhab. Remember the last sermon? Okay, there is no difference between male and female. There is no difference between Arabs and non-Arabs. He's trying to say something, right? But many of us just don't want to give. We say we follow Rasulullah, but we never really follow. Okay, now let's look at here the slide. There is only one school of law during Prophet time. Okay, there is no problem at that point of time because he is still alive. He was still alive at that point of time, and therefore any problems can be resolved by referring to him. So the problem arise immediately after the death, yeah, or maybe because or in certain situation, it this problem was coming into situation where uh, we don't have the ability to refer to Rasulullah. They, at that point of time, they have a problem. Whenever they were away from Rasulullah, and obviously they cannot refer to Rasulullah, there is no contact, communication that is able for them to do so immediately. So problem arise immediately, yeah, when Rasulullah was not with them. Say for example, here I put the example of followers of Sahabah, an example battle of Kandak, punishment of the Jews, treachery against agreement. So to kill or not to kill, okay, the decision whether they are to be killed or not. And then one example is do not pray asar but at Banu Quraidah. Here you either go there and salat, or you uh, or because at that point of time when they were moving towards Banu Quraidah, it was late in the afternoon because asar is finishing. They are disputing whether they should fast faith to the place that was asked by Rasulullah to pray, and or they stop and pray. So even that, it becomes a dispute, yeah? Whether they want to follow or not. So that is no problem when it comes to Rasulullah when he was alive. Okay. Okay, after Ali, mazhab varies monarchy style. We have Umayyad dynasty. Look up the history of. I always wonder, Islam. Why did Islam attack other peoples? You know, it does not happen in Southeast Asia, but why? So I want you to find out for yourself. Is it the main idea why Rasulullah never what do you call it, attack people? Why he is engaging into war that is more towards self-defense? Why do you have to go and attack other people? Is it the requirement of the religion? I want you guys to do your own research. This is to understand the principle of the religion itself. One example that I just want to highlight is the instances where you have daily prayers in Masjidil Haram, meaning Kaaba, where you have different times according to four most different accepted Sunni schools. So the Sunni will will pray, different as Hanbali, Maliki, Shafi'i, you know, uh, they different, different. How can how can you have different prayers with different schools? Right. Okay. Here we have Islam. We have Ahmadiyah. Ahmadiyah uh, is considered as what do you call it? Apa? I don't know. You have to find it for yourself. Yeah. We have the Sunni. You have Shia, and then the Khawarij, and then we have Deobandis. Yeah. Deobandis here. Then we have Sufis. Different interpretation. But if you look at Islam, by right, it is just Al Quran and Hadith. That's it. Differences in terms of what? In terms of the word, the wording of Al Quran itself. If you are talking about, for example, kur, kur means 3 times. So, what do you call it? If a person, dia kata kat sini, actual menses or 3 times of menses when it comes to divorce. So, tiga kali suci. What do you mean by 3 kali suci? What if a person that is no longer having menses? Is it month or is it actual? So 3 times means what? Okay. So for example here I put bow, 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 B-O-W. The word itself have 3 meaning, right? Bowing, bow, the arrow, and bows. So touching woman while having wudu, is it touching means what? What does it mean by touching? If you go to Mecca, if you were to apply Shafi'i ruling that if you touch a woman or any kind of a woman, that is considered as your wife. If you were to touch when you have wudu, is it batal or not? Asking you. Your mom?
Tak batal.
Huh?
Kalau isteri batal.
Batal. Okay, right. Because that is haram, right? In terms of you getting married with your mom is considered as not permissible in Islam, because we do have specific laws for that, ayat Al-Quran for that. But others, if say for example you go to Mecca, you do tawaf, if you were to strictly follow Shafi'i, then you definitely have to go out from the circles that you're doing in order for you to get your wudu, because you will be keeping touching other people, because there's so many people walking at the same time. Definitely you'll be touching. And then if you want to hold hands with your wife, is considered as also touching. It's supposed to be batal, but it is considered as what they call it, rituals. It's a religious ritual that you have to have a certain status. Then obviously that is an issue, when it comes to touching. Different schools have different interpretation. Wudu, wiping head, what does it mean? Wipe only the front face or the front portion of your head, or is it the whole head? Now, what does it mean in that sense? So these are the problems that jurisprudence have to come in order to give some kind of solution. And this is where we have to look at the Islamic principle of usul al-fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence. So usul al-fiqh is whereby we look at the roots of Islamic law in order for us to understand the things that we need to do as a Muslim.
Sir, sorry.
Yes, yeah.
There is someone waiting to enter into the class.
Dia orang ni datang lewat. Ya Allah.
Tak, dia dah tunggu dari tadi.
Ya ke? Okay, I'm waiting for them. Right, questions that you want to ask? Cakap dia orang dah boleh masuk. I'm waiting for that. Sebab dia di sini dia tak bagi indication. Selalu I dengar juga bunyi orang nak masuk. Ting 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 dia nak masuk. Minta dia masuk. So if you look at the slide, mana nak tengok slide ni? How do I do that? Sekejap Allah. Dah boleh? Dia orang nak masuk dah? Just now siapa? Anis ke? Anis, can you check out whether they are able to enter or not?
Okay, sekejap.
Okay. Right. Boleh
Sir,
Ya.
Iman.
Aiman. Ya,
Iman.
Aiman.
Okay. Sorry, bunyi motor pula. So I apa ni, regarding the just want sir to confirm ataupun ni lah betulkan my understanding is that the sex lah kan is basically tertubuh because of interpretation yang berbeza, different interpretations, and as isn't it also because of the suitability in certain regions such as if I'm not mistaken, like I don't remember, but macam Hambali ke apa ke, if I'm not sure, kenapa bila ambil uduk dia tak perlu nak basuh keseluruhan kaki, like ambil uduk waktu kaki tu just pakai stokin and then letak air dekat hujung tu pun dah kira sah, because tempat area of that sex was tempat yang sejuk and whatnot. So
okay, I can't remember also which sect is that, but I'm clear about Shia. Shia, actually the issue about whether you have to wash the whole leg itself, the lower portion of your leg daripada buku lali, is it something, or just wiping, is it enough? There are sunnah where people realize that Rasulallah, when it comes to subuh, he sleep with wearing what they call it, ada kasut kambing, kasut kulit,
macam stokin,
macam stokin. So bila dia bangun, dia tak buka kasut tu, dia wipe. Kalau nak kira other instances, dia akan basuh the whole kaki, so macam mana ni, which one is which? So if you follow, say for example, you follow Shia is saying that there are situations that we want to follow because it does exist, where Rasulullah did not wash the whole feet but just wipe, it is considered as valid, then we follow that. Then there are some Shafi'i, means that the Shafi'i is looking at you have to wash your whole portion of the leg, make sure everything is being, the skin, every crooks between the fingers has to be make sure that everything is basah, that is in the instances where they follow the ruling of Sunnah, where Rasulullah did that. So what's wrong with it? You just follow whatever you think that is good, not about tradition. It's not about the climate. It's not about the condition of the society at that place. No, it is based on what has been done by Rasulullah. Anything that is being done without the ability to link back to Sunnah or Hadith or Quran, they are not valid. Okay, so if you have two interpretation of a sunnah, maybe hundreds interpretation of sunnah. We can have hundreds way of doing things. As long as asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna muhammadar rasulullah, then why bother? Why you have to say that this person is wrong, that wudu is not valid, not letih. Yeah. So small matters are, you know, trying to make differences. I am better than you. I am better than that. Attitude that is not helping Muslim, yeah, because that is what happening in our society. Trying to go into small matters. Ini dah cakap dalam Quran is very clear on that. You like to dispute on things that you don't know of, and things that is very clear you don't want to follow. You know, ada Quran, you go online and then you see Allah is making that statement. You are those type of people yang selalu cari pasal, cari masalah. Because there are things that you want to dispute against each other. All the things that is not really needed for you to dispute. As long as they are able to do whatever they that Rasulullah has shown, then it should be something that is proper. Questions? Yeah, good. Iman, but maybe it does relate to some condition of climate, or society in that particular region. But that has to be must have the foundation of the act of Rasulullah. Anything that is not related to what Rasulullah has done, then obviously is going out. You might ask, then what happened to... Yeah, ada lagi nak masuk?
Sorry,
Yes.
sir. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If we don't have, sorry.
Tak apa, Aida.
Hello. Okay, sorry. If we don't have mazhab, right, sir? Because this mazhab is like Imam Shafi'i, Imam Hanbali, and so on, they are interpreting what have been stated in the Quran and Hadith, right? Okay, so if there is no mazhab and we as a layman misinterpreted the message from the Quran and Hadith, what about it? What is your opinion on it?
So, if that is the situation, obviously you have to follow into certain types of, if you were to do something, right? Say, for example, you want to do X. If you want to do X, Allah has given you the brains in order for you to investigate whether this particular act of yours, which is X, is it something that is valid in Islam? How do you know that whether it is valid or not? You have the Sunnah and you have the Hadith and then you have Al-Quran. Nowadays, it is not even difficult for you to check out whether that particular situation is against or not. If the ruling is purely against, say for example, you nak try makan babi, somebody said to me, I was shocked. Dia kata makan babi sedap lah, and coming from a Muslim, I was like, oh my god, okay, right, fine, whatever it is. If you want to do something, nobody is forcing you to do that. If you want to eat pork, say for example, right, you have to check whether pork is allowed in Islam or not. If it's clearly identified, by the communication mass media that we have nowadays, it is very simple for you to get clarification whether pork is allowed or not. Whether you are a newcomer of the Islamic religion or not, whether somebody has told you or not, those are the things that we can easily identify. You don't need actually, this is where ijtihad comes in. One of the portion of interpretation of Al-Quran and Hadith is your own interpretation, because if you go through the slides, you will see how the Islamic jurists, the fuqaha, meaning the ulama, say for example, we have ijma, the consensus. Ijma is the consensus of ulama. The consensus of ulama. Who are the ulama? They are knowledgeable in terms of the religion, in terms of what do you mean by religion? Sunnah, hadith, and Al-Quran. They know better, obviously. So if you have a problem, obviously you have to refer to them and get some kind of direction. So that is where ijma, if they ijma ulama, they come up with a statement that rokok is haram. Whether rokok is haram, is it something that is against what Quran has stated? Now I'm asking you guys. No. It is clearly in verbatim, like not marrying your mother. Yes or no?
I think no.
No. Okay. If the answer is no, then you have to do your own ijtihad. And how do you use your own ijtihad? Is by looking at the preferences of all scholars that you have. You have so many scholars, right? You have so many scholars. They are all right, but yet you have to at least decide which scholars that you want to choose. Like for example, if I went to if when I went to Kaaba and do the rituals of tawaf, I hold my wife near hands. If you don't hold hands, obviously she will be, so many people, you'll be lost. No, when you hold hands, obviously dah batal. So if you follow Shafi'i, obviously, if you strictly follow Shafi'i, obviously it's batal. And then you have to adopt certain other schools in terms of the situation that you're facing. So if you follow other schools, as long as the school is following what Rasulullah had done, and one time of his lifetime that he has done, they follow that, then it's okay for you to do that. Like you get what I'm trying to say, It depends on the situation. Say, for example, you don't have water. Obviously, tayammum is available for you to get your wudu. In order for I did that when we went to masjid jin. Air tak ada. You resort to pasir, things like that. Debu lah, debu dinding masjid tu. Just take it, and so it depends. So nowadays, when there is no mazhab, obviously, mazhab is what I'm trying to say is mazhab lead us to be different from others, and saying that others is wrong, we are right. The only way that we are doing is the right thing, and that is wrong. I think what they have, if you have Hanbali, Maliki, Shafi'i, if we were to have them now, they would like regret in saying that how come you create a mazhab, which is not my intention to create a group of people. I just want you to follow what my interpretation of Al-Quran and Hadith, not for you to make up a group. So you can be utilizing any kind of scholarly interpretation of Sunnah, Hadith, or Quran, as long as it is ambiguous, you can follow. If it's clear, then obviously you cannot, by all means, you cannot. Only if you can allow to eat pork, if in dire need, you have to survive. That's the only thing that you can eat. Then it is allowable for you to eat. Even that, you have to not take pleasure of eating it. You have to be in a way that you distaste. You feel, you have that remorse. You don't want to do it, but because of you need to survive, you have to eat the pork. If you go into any what they call shopping center, you have a Chinese shop selling pork, and then you go in without checking, just because you saw somebody wearing tudung inside that place, you are to be blamed, because you do not use your own analytical skills that we have as human beings to identify whether is it valid or not, whether it is what do you call it, ada halal or not. If it's halal, just because it is halal doesn't mean that you have to take it on face value. If you saw something that is against what the halal certificate is doing, would you want to, I don't care as long as halal, as I just want to go in and let the jakim pay for the sins that they have done for not checking or not. It is up to us. It is up to us to decide whether it is right or wrong. It is just mere kalau ulama, ijma ulama is just, say for example fatwa. Fatwa is what? For the non-Muslim, sorry, using jargon words might be the first time that you're hearing. Fatwa is what?
Ruling.
Ruling. Yeah, ruling. Yeah, ruling. Fatwa is not ruling. Fatwa is just an opinion, legal opinion. Okay, it is not a ruling. When you say ruling, it is based on Al-Quran and Hadith. That is rule. You cannot go against Al-Quran and Hadith. But as long as the interpretation of the fuqaha or Islamic jurists, if they were to interpret it in, for example, A, B, C, D. So we have 4, A, B, C, D. As long as A, B, C, D has roots into the Al-Quran and Hadith interpretation, and they are not wrong, then you have the right to choose. So here, fatwa of ulama in Malaysia and in Philippines, Thailand, China, Australia, US, Europe, they are different. We have different ijma or ulama where they come up with fatwa. They are just mere legal opinion. They don't have authority. The authority of you as a person of Muslim to identify whether that ruling you want to follow or not is up to you. But if they were the one that is in authority, they have formulate a situation of institution, legal institution, that they have the right to create a specific law for that specific activity, then obviously you have to follow. You cannot run away, right? If it's ambiguous, something that is not translated into law, it is just a mere opinion. You have every right to follow or not to follow. And if you were to follow, do not tell others that you are wrong. Because if they are not following, because they have the legal grounds for not following. No, legal grounds means if they can relate to back to Sunnah and Hadith and Quran, then that's it. You have to allow that. But since it is very difficult, so for example, marriage in Malaysia, it is something that is very difficult for us to maintain, whether we are married or not. We want everything to be proper. You have to go to a Qadi, you have to register, you have to go for what this kursus, you have to have jabs, you have to, so many things that you have to fill in forms. Those are the things that does not exist during Rasulullah. Does it mean that they are not to be followed? If the rule says so, then you have to follow, because different states have different Sharia method. So different Sharia laws of different states demands different way of things to be done. If you want to kahwin lebih daripada satu perlis, you can do it. They are allowing you to do that, provided that you have to stay overnight. I don't know how they come up, but if that ruling that they come out does not exist in the time of Rasulullah, then you have to reject. But if it does exist, then you have the right to follow. Up to you. Doesn't mean that people who goes to other states believing in something other than what the state is believing is wrong. No, but you have to follow the authority. If the law is the law, if the state law says you have to, you have to abide to the ruling of COVID, in order for you to get married, then you have to abide. So there is no, you can easily say there is no sunnah, there is no situation where marriage in times of Rasulullah happen in this nature that I can follow or do not follow. No, it has to go to that particular law of the state at that point of time. Otherwise, you can do on your own interpretation. As long as you are able to reason out. There are people that do things that they think that I think tak boleh. We cannot have I think. You have to say I think based on the sunnah of Rasulullah, based on the saying of this so-called hadith. This hadith is legitimate, is not mubah, not something that is something that is question, something that is not to be valid. If you have that particular hadith and the hadith is valid, the perawi or the descendants ataupun the repeaters of the hadith are those people that you can rely on, then you have the right to choose to follow it. Boleh, guys? Soalan? Aida? Macam mana?
Okay, sir. Faham. Boleh.
Okay, so what I want you all to understand is that we have to stick to Al-Quran and Hadith. That's it. All these fuqaha, they are just people who understand the law better. Yeah, they understand the law better doesn't mean that they are authoritative in terms of you have to follow, because their interpretation is different from one fuqaha to another. So you have the right to choose any fuqaha that of your choice, as long as the fuqaha is not going against the principle of Al-Quran and Hadith and Sunnah. Nabi tak pernah buat macam tu, dia nak buat. So one question that might come out. Nabi kalau semayang tarawih macam mana? Nabi did not do that tarawih. So this is what they call it, bid'ah in a good manner, to have semayang tarawih. What is your opinion about semayang tarawih?
Macam mana, sir?
Semayang tarawih macam mana? What is the ruling on semayang tarawih?
Tarawih tu sunat.
Sunat, okay. Sunat means kita nak jemaah ke tak?
Dia sunat muakkad.
Okay. Muakkad maksudnya macam mana? Nabi buat jemaah ke tak?
Ikutkan Nabi Muhammad SAW, dia buat 8 rakaat berjemaah dan seterusnya dia buat sendiri hingga 20 rakaat.
Okay. Muhammad Najmuddin, can you give me the authority of the sunnah, the hadith?
Sekejap.
Dia macam tu So if anyone wants to say anything, all of us have to verify whether that particular statement is correct or not, whether it does happen or not. If it does not, then you have the right to choose whether you want to follow or not. But if it's preventing us from doing it, then if you were to follow, and then salah. Now, the problem of semayang tarawih jemaah is to be made compulsory. When it is being made compulsory, more or less, dia orang kata sunat muakkad, but the moment ada orang yang tak pergi sembahyang tarawih, people are looking in a way of orang pandang serong, for the fact that you tak pergi sembahyang tarawih, whereas it is just sunnah. You can pray in your own house. Rasulullah promoted that we were to solat in, solat is solat. It means that you are with your God personally, and he refused people to follow him. People try to follow him, he refuses to be followed, because he knew that he doesn't want to make a precedent. Once you set a precedent, and then it becomes law. Okay, Mudin, macam mana?
So, ya saya.
Kalau ada, everyone, any statement, even I am the one that making the statement, you have to question. Doesn't mean that I'm coming as a lecturer that you have not to, dia kata lecturer kita kena ikut, takut lagi exam dia akan fail kan kita. No, it is not in that manner, please. Otherwise I fail in my mission to open up your mind. What I want you to do is, whenever anyone says,
Sir, I think I found on the
good.
hadith.
Hadis.
Okay, the hadith said Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu meriwayatkan Rasulullah SAW bersabda, siapa yang menghidupkan malam Ramadan dengan keimanan dan mengharap pahala, diampuni dosa-dosanya yang terdahulu. Jadi Aisyah radhiyallahu anhu meriwayatkan bahawa Rasulullah SAW solat di masjid pada suatu malam dan orang ramai pun solat bersama baginda. Kemudian pada malam seterusnya baginda mendirikan solat lagi dan jemaah semakin ramai. Kemudian pada malam ketiga dan keempat pun sama. Apabila siang hari, baginda berkata, aku melihat apa yang kalian lakukan, tidak ada yang menghalang aku daripada keluar mendirikan solat bersama kalian, melainkan kerana aku takut ia akan diwajibkan ke atas kalian. Macam yang saya cakap tadi.
So
dia Sahih Muslim.
Yeah, we have to look as legal thinkers. We have to look at why he was making that statement. He made that statement because he was worried it becomes something that is obligatory. Like sembahyang Jumaat. Sembahyang Jumaat is definitely obligatory, meaning you have to. But when it comes to COVID, I don't know, the ruling kata tak boleh because of the distancing and things like that. At times, initially it was not allowed. Now it is allowed with a certain number of people. But as far as sembahyang Jumaat, memang kena buat. Because ada Al-Quran kata you have to stop. Every activity that you are doing when qomat or the bank azan dah dipanggil, so you have to, it's haram for you to do your business. That follows into any kind of activities. So everyone have to go to solat. That is very clear. That we do have ayat Al-Quran mentioning that specifically. But even that, it was jangan berjual beli. But berjual beli can be interpreted into all kind of services. If you're working in terms of services, businesses in terms of services, you have to also stop. That is how do you interpret. But if you were to interpret, I tak jual, I tak beli, then up to you. But you have to solat. What you have to understand is that the mission is to make it obligatory for solat Jumaat. Tak ada no two way about it. But when it comes to sembahyang tarawih, it is something that is suggested that you have to increase, because that is the month that blessing, the blessing of Allah in that particular month. So we have to take up that blessing. So yeah, so that is what I'm trying to say. What we want to do is to look at the principle. Whenever you have anything that is being stated, it must be related to Quran and Hadith. So we have the secondary source of Islamic jurisprudence. Di sini dah ada some kind of interpretation, different interpretation by different schools. here Sunnah itself was mentioned in Al-Quran a number of times, more than 20 times. This is one of it. Say, oh Muhammad, if you really love Allah, then follow me. Accept Islam monotheism, follow Al-Quran and the Sunnah. Allah will love you and forgive you for your sin, and Allah is most of forgiving, most merciful. Now here it is mentioned about the word Sunnah. Yeah. What does it mean? Sunnah is the act and behaviors, because Sunnah also mentioned of other prophets and prophets that is being mentioned in Al-Quran, covers all prophets lah. Whatever prophets yang buat, and then you have to follow, because they Islam promotes believing in all prophets. Yeah. So I letak sini, jangan letak ni dalam exam. If you were to have a question on Islamic jurisprudence, it's hard jurisprudential views of law. I just give jurisprudential views ni to just give you an idea. Primary and secondary laws or rules that he mentioned in Islam, primary rules would be Quran, secondary rules is Sunnah. Al-Quran is the principle and the method of to execute the principle comes from the Sunnah. So Sunnah, as I mentioned, the bigger circle where it involved the behavior of Rasulallah. So what do you mean by behavior? Things that he has done, the way he walked, the way he walks, he looks down, he looks down at the earth in front of him. He doesn't, stare straight forward, and then he will always be the first one to give salam to anyone. And then if he were to walk, he did not walk in a way of arrogant, in nature of arrogance. He did not walk. You know how arrogant walks looks like. If you go online, you will see that. And then if he were to go out from places, keluar masuk rumah kaki kanan, naik kenderaan kaki kanan, dan masuk tempat yang kotor kaki kiri, that is what we call Sunnah. The behavior, things that he likes, he dislike, those are the things that we should follow as Sunnah. Because following him means that we are not trying to create our own interpretation. You just follow what he has done, because he is the best example that we can take. No other example that is better than him. So if we were to follow him, we have that intention of to be close to God, because he knows he is very close to God. So if we were to follow his action, then obviously we are trying our best to be near to God. And then we have hadith, which are literatures or wordings of Rasulullah. He did not put it in writing. Normally, his sayings has been memorized by people, and then after his death, obviously, it was passed on to others by virtue of the Sahaba, his friends, members. One problem, Mu'ad, when he was sent to Yemen, Rasulullah mentioned him, asking him, what would you do? So here it is one example that I can give to you, his hadith. You will certainly meet people of the Ahlul Kitab, those Christians, Jews, and Sabians, those who believe in other prophets. When you come to them, invite them to testify that there is none worthy of worship but Allah, and that Muhammad is Allah's Rasul. If they obey you in this, inform them that Allah has made fardu for them to have 5 salah during each day and night. If they obey you in this, inform them that Allah has made fardu for them zakat, and that is taken from the wealthy amongst them and give the poor amongst them. If they obey you in this, abstain from taking the best of their wealth as zakat, and beware that the curses of the oppressed, because there are no barrier between it and Allah. What do you understand about this? So this is his hadith, his method of how you are to govern. When Mu'ad was sent to Yemen, knowing that there would be non-Muslim, in the society, uh, to be kind to those people, ask them, not force them to be in religion of Islam, that like ikrah fiddin, you are not to force them to Islam. So I think there are, if you look at all the historical perspective, though it is not in a nature of direct forcing them to convert, there are situations that conversion is something that is forced against non-Muslim. This is going against the hadith that is being stated here. You start off believing in one God, believing in Rasulullah, and then if you do that, if you have that, then ask them to salat. And if they were to for salat, then inform further things that they have to do, which is to give zakat. In order for them to not to be selfish, to always remember other people when they have already embraced Islam. So embrace Islam is submission. Islam is submission. Submission to what? Submission to one God. So all the teaching of Rasulullah is towards that submission to Allah. Yeah. So because Allah doesn't like you to be unjust. Yeah. Because when you are oppressing people, obviously that makes Allah angry, because He is very kind, He is very loving, most loving, most kind. And if you were to do that, then obviously you have that arrogance, which is only meant for Allah. Okay, we cannot have that arrogance. Yeah, Rasulullah is the most humble person in the entire universe. You have a Quran statement on that. Okay, so we have category of sunnah. This can be categorized. You can read on your own. Rules of interpretation. Now, after Rasulullah has died, the problems come in. Okay, the problems comes in when Rasulullah is no longer there for us to get our guidance. This is where interpretation comes in. And interpretation is based on, as I mentioned, Al-Quran and Sunnah. Meaning, when I say Sunnah, it's also including Hadith, right? So, all interpretation is based on that. So, basically, when it comes to menstrual issues regarding to divorce that I mentioned just now, according to wudu, nak sapu kaki tu penuh nak bagi basah ke, nak just macam syarat saja, solah standing, whether tangan you ada kat sebelah standing straight, and then you nak kiam ke tak, kiam tu dekat mana, dekat dada ke, ada setengah kiam dekat dada, ada setengah kiam dekat perut, ada setengah kiam dekat pusat, ada setengah kiam dekat sebelah kiri kiri ke kanan, and then ada yang kiam kat bawah, dekat tangan dah dekat your private parts, and then ada yang kiam tak ada kiam langsung, just tangan lurus saja. So this issue of interpretation, which one is right, which is one is wrong, everything is wrong. To do research, you have to do some kind of background study in order for you to get married to that person, because so many divorce taking place nowadays because people are just don't understand the couples that they are getting married into. At least you have to do here. Yeah, okay, that is the analogy or deduction that we have to do. Here, how the first one is al-dalalat. Al-dalalat is based on interpretation, meaning something that is not obvious but it is implied in nature. What do you mean by that? I've given here some example. Explicit is something that is very clear. Yeah? Here, it is obvious, but obviously it's also implied that you are to explicit meaning it is also identified that you cannot have any kind of relationship with these people with respect to marrying. If you cannot marry, meaning can you have sexual relationship with them? Oh, ini silap ni, I bagi apa? Oh, okay, I bagi yang ni 4 ni. Clear that you may be unable to treat the orphan fairly, then marry the woman that seems good to you, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you cannot treat your co-wife equitably, then marry only one. Mana sini yang ni selalu ada what they call it, it is very often raised as a provision of Quran that you can marry more than one, because it is stated so. Okay, it is being clearly stated that it is something that is being permission or permission is given. So people ada yang kahwin 4, ada yang 28 orang anak yang stay together, 4 orang wife dalam satu rumah, and then you have 28 kids. You come across that incident recently, where this particular person kahwin 4, ada 28 orang anak dalam satu rumah. Just because it is something that is being allowed, then you follow that. Does not mean that, because here the keyword here is to treat equitably, meaning you have to be fair. Are you fair when you have more than one wife? That the question has to be answered by yourself. If you want to marry more than one, obviously the question that Allah is asking you to is to be fair. If you can be fair, then obviously go ahead. So the way I see it, the general rule is not about marrying 2, 3, or 4. The general rule is actually the marrying only one. If you can be fair, then obviously the exception come in. So people normally get the general rule as 2, 3, and 4 to decide whether they want to get married or not. They are not looking at the general rule, which is actually marry only one first. Yeah, obviously you have to get married only one, the first one. Once you get married to the first one, then you start to discover whether you are able to be fair or not. Everyone wants to get married more than one. Any male that you will be able to ask, males in this class wants to marry 1,000, have more than one wife, right? So, but no, Allah has already stated it is all about justice. If you can give justice to one, and you think that having another one, you are able to give justice to that wife also, then by all means proceed. Because if you're not being fair, Allah is not going to be happy. He's not happy looking at injustice that is happening in our society. Orang bini kedua, ketiga, keempat, or bini pertama, so many injustice that is going on. They say, I don't care. This is the provision that is given by a Quran. I'm just utilizing the provision. Ada provision on Allah did not say that kita punya hamba abdi, is what do you call it? Diharamkan. No, it is still open. So that is where you have interpretation, and people are now having slave, in quietly in their own way. You have your wife as your slave. Things that is happening nowadays. So things that is explicit, meaning it is clear, expressed, and then alluded, meaning it is being suggested. Where you can see in Al-Quran, he says that it is the father's duty to provide them with maintenance and clothing according to the custom. Meaning, what is your custom? What is the suggestion of this particular literal? Obviously you have to maintain as a father of that particular child. Obviously you have to do maintenance, you have to give them clothing, but the suggestion also means that if, say for example, that the father is unable to get sustenance, in order for it to sustain the child, obviously the father can get the property of the child in order for the father to take care of the child. Say for example, harta kepada anak, anak mungkin mak bagi harta banyak kepada anak. So the father cannot steal the property, but the father can take that property in order to do his duty, which is to provide maintenance. So takkan dia nak pergi mencuri pula kan. So there are things that you can look at the suggestion from this particular surah. If you look at the deduced meaning, inferred meaning, and say not oof to them, what does it mean? The inferred here or deduced meaning that you cannot say anything that is in a voice that is increased in terms of its speak, in terms of this stressing that statement Allah, not to say oof. Oof is not the only oof that you are not to say to them. Anything, anything that is related to that outcome is not supposed to be done by any children towards their parents. I've seen with my own eyes, as I already mentioned to you earlier, during Tata Tertib, I was the chairman, and I have this student. The student name my wife ingat sampai sekarang, because that student is also, she was her student also. Dia yang tangkap student tu waktu dia meniru dalam exam. So Tata Tertib, dan dia bawa mak dia kata engkau ni, ya Allah ya Rabbi. We were shocked. The mother was she asked for permission that the mother to give some testimony in terms of why the document was inside her clothes. So the mother said dia secret and then dia masukkan that notes into the clothes of the daughter, and that does not answer why the document was outside the clothes. On the table and underneath the examination script. Tapi the moment dia kata engkau ni tak tahu aku engkau, as a aduh. And my wife spoke to her friends, and her friends also acknowledged my wife, kata memang dia cakap macam tu dengan mak dia, and even her friends pun marah dia, how can you say that? Dia kata aku punya masalah, aku nak cakap apa? Oh my God. Okay, the required meaning, unlawful to you are your mothers and your daughters. Required meaning, unlawful to you are the dead carcasses and blood. So these are the things that you are in a way that you have to avoid. In a way that you have to avoid. This is considered as the al-dalalat, meaning the interpretation. It has to be in what manner. And then we have divergent meaning. It maybe something that is more holistic in nature, I do not find within that which has what that was revealed to me anything forbidden to one who would eat unless it is a dead animal and blood spill out of the splash of the swine. So meaning you can eat provided that it depends on the situation. So that is one of the example that I can give. Uh, I think I'm taking a lot of time into explaining the in tapa. Going on to the second one. This is one of the command and provision that I want to share with you. When you give and take loan for a fixed period, reduce it into writing. Nampak tak? It is something that is commanded for us Muslim to put everything in writing. It is a contractual punya evidence, where when you enter into a contract, obviously for a period that is longer, not mungkin sehari dua, mungkin it can reduce to not in writing. But if you were to take a loan for a period that is maybe 1 year, obviously it is good to reduce it into writing. So it is a command. It is a command for us to write everything into what we have that we are doing. And if one of you deposit a thing on trust, let the trustee faithfully discharge his trust. So you have the equity and trust, the principle of equity and trust, based on the trustee of the. You have to get the one that is faithful into discharging their duty. And then we have another one here. Whenever you enter into a contract of sale, let it be witnessed, and let neither the scribe nor the witness suffer harm. Why you want witnesses to your contract? That because you don't want to have problems later on. This is what commands that is being given in Al-Quran. So you have to follow. Abrogation, where we have nas, where some certain ruling of Islam from the Al-Quran, we can see other conflict. I shouldn't be saying that because there is no conflict in the Quran. But in terms of Salat, before Rasulullah went up and get his ruling of five times prayers, it was two times, for example. And then, for example, his liking to face Mecca as the place that he wants to pray. It was before Jerusalem, meaning it is facing Jerusalem, but because Allah knows what is in his heart, Allah says that he can change direction. So that particular statement that is earlier is still maintained. It is still maintained. This is abrogation, the nas, meaning you are trying to put the later one as overriding the earlier one. Okay, so there are a situation of that, but those are just examples. This method of abrogation to be used in interpretation of the problems of the society today. Okay, so new ruling can override the old ruling because the new ruling give more benefits to the society. Even though the old ruling is okay, it should be fine, but the new ruling can override in order to give more progressive outcome. Or yeah, these are the example. Ijma, as I already mentioned, ijma is just a consensus by the ulama, the fuqaha, meaning the Islamic jurists. So they will gang together and then discuss things of common problem and then come up with their own interpretation of that particular problem, right? These are the obedience that in Al-Quran to those who are in charge of the affairs, uli amri, those who are in charge, meaning they are in power in terms of the legal institution that they are empowered to do, and then you have to follow. Okay, but other than that, then it's up to you. Qiyas, analogical deduction, where we have this different interpretation in terms of the primary concern in the text is different from the language. For example, kita nak pakai kat sini Al-Quran. I mentioned this now, right? Al-Quran in Surah Jumu'ah forbids selling or buying goods after the last call of Friday prayers until the end of the prayers, meaning there is no selling and buying. But this actually prohibition is not only for selling and buying, but extended to all kind of transaction. Meaning in our current days today, then obviously it implies to every other activities of or any activities, then you have to stop and go for prayers. Prophet, there's a nicer example here. A prophet reported to have said, the killer shall not inherit from his victim. Obviously lah. So a killer meaning a son who kills their parents, are they able to get the inheritance? No. Okay, istihab. Istihab is the legal deduction of presumption of continuity, where istihab means escorting or companionship. That is considered as rational proof, where it is employed in absence of some other intention. So we have to do some deduction because things are not clear. If it's clear, then macam yang tak atas tadi kan, is very it is more or less clear lah. You are to be loyal as a father. You have to take care of your child. You have to be respectful to your parents and things like that. But if it's not, then they would have a legal deduction. So why it has to be in that sense that you want to have a continuity of that relationship. For example, ownership of a purchaser and the martial status of a spouses are presumed to have a continuity until a transfer of ownership. Meaning, if they say, for example, you have given your wife some presents, or ownership of something, then obviously the what do you call it? The ownership of that will continue unless and until there is a marriage. Kalau tak ada marriage, then obviously that is another issue that we have to look at. Whether it was given, whether it was lent, itu that given is something that is of right. Given from the moment she was at the time she was married, it is hers. Whether it is given after that, it's considered hers or not, that is depending on the legal deduction or continuity of whether we want to continue or not. Okay. Because why? Because these contracts are permanently valid, under the Sharia, and do not admit to of any time limit, which is reasonable to presume that the continuity until the evidence into the contrary. Say for example, the wife engage in sexual relationship with another person, obviously lucut dia punya status, maybe the husband by not forgiving, obviously he will divorce her, and then the status of that relationship also relates to the property in terms of the ownership, and then on top of that we have inheritance in terms of hak penjagaan, all these kind of things will come into play. Then kejap lagi 4 minit nak habiskan. Ijtihad, personal reasoning, which is actually the most important or most powerful means, because Islam is a private religion. It is not a public religion whereby it is to be regulated. You don't need a country in order for you to establish Islam. Islam can be anywhere, So if Islam can be anywhere, you have to do your own ijtihad. Ijtihad means that you are to do your own reasoning. Yeah, your own reasoning is based on, as I mentioned, Al-Quran and Hadith. If it's going along Al-Quran and Hadith, then obviously you are not going to be wrong. However, if you have diversity of opinion from the jurists, that if you go into your own reasoning and then you see different jurists is saying differently, then you have to opt to either one of them or not opting to either one of them. Because if it's not clear in Al-Quran and Sunnah, obviously you can do your own ijtihad. If it's having ijma, fatwa has been stated, even that you can also have your own ijtihad. Okay, because the ruling is, as long as your reasoning does not go against Quran and Sunnah, then you are not wrong. Because by the end of the day, you are going to answer yourself for your action, and the one that is being responsible for you to take care of. If you are the family, the leader of the family, obviously anything happens because of your decision that you have made, and your decision, if say for example, it is not based on Al-Quran and Sunnah, obviously you are going to be answerable to God for your action. So every one of us, you cannot simply say that I follow this scholar, this particular school, and therefore I'm right. You have to know why you are doing it, on what basis that you are saying that you are right. As long as you are able to justify, and you are in front of God in one day, in the future, obviously you are able to answer for your action that you're doing. You don't want to be, I follow this particular group of people and I think it was right. They were the one that is intelligent, of knowledge of Islam, therefore I follow them blindly. Cannot. We cannot follow people blindly. As legal thinkers, you're going to be judges. We cannot be influenced by people. We cannot have your own interpretation. Your own interpretation must be basing on the principles of law. Here is usul al-fiqh, meaning you have to go to the roots of the religion, which is coming back to the first few slides, right? Religion is about way of life, and the way of life is coming from these main sources of how to do it, which is Al-Quran and Sunnah. As long as you are able to go back, then it should be okay. Yeah. And I remember one guy who came to Rasulullah and asked for guidance, and Rasulullah has stated the 5 pillars of Islam. Then he said, demi Allah aku tak akan buat benda yang lain, and Rasulullah kata benar. Islam is very simple. You don't, people try to make it so complicated. They think that they are better than God, better than Rasulullah, and now we are in the deep problem that we are facing throughout the world. All right, so guys, it's 12 o'clock. Thank you very much for coming. I'll be posting the record later on. Assalamualaikum. Bye. Petang ni kita jumpa ya.
Waalaikumsalam, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, sir.
Assalamualaikum,
Take
sir.
care. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Sir, petang ni buat apa?
Petang ni kita buat yang Islamic punya principle tu. Kita nak tengok passive question, right? Macam mana nak jawab?
Okay, sure. Bagi dulu. Okay, thank you, sir.
Good. Right.
Stay safe.
Anyone who wants to ask questions can stay on and we can discuss. Kalau tak ada, please leave because the recording has to end.